Good evening, Mrs. Chandrima Bhattacharya, Minister of Law. Friends from media, members of the Apollo family, namaste. This is not a good evening. This is a great evening because everyone who cares about how we can improve care for our patients is here, and everyone who believes that health can be transformed through IT is here. So let's put our hands together for each one of us. Let me tell you a story. This story was told to some of us who were at the APEC forum in Melbourne three days ago by Maureen, who is the president of the Institute of Healthcare Improvement, also very well known as IHR. Now, Maureen belongs to an Irish family. She's one of 9 children. Her mother unfortunately suffered a stroke and she had to be hospitalized. She wasn't doing well, and so a case conference was called. And because there are 9 siblings, their spouses, the extended family, they actually needed a large conference room to have a discussion. So there was the family and then there were these 2 doctors. So one of the doctors asked the family, "Tell me about your mom." And Maureen said, "She's 78, she has diabetes, she had both her knees replaced." So the doctor said, no, tell me about your mom." So then her younger brother said, "You know, Dr. the mind, the heart, and most importantly, the soul behind these twin conferences. The chairperson of the FICCI Health Services Committee, the joint MD of the Apollo Hospitals Group, Mrs. Sangeeta Reddy, for her opening address. Before we do that, may I request all the dignitaries to please come up, and I will request one by one Mrs. Chandrima Bhattacharya, our chief guest, the Honorable Minister. Shri Arjun Ghatani, Honorable Minister, Health and Family Government of Sikkim. Swami Suheta Ji Maharaj, General Secretary, Ramakrishna Mission and Math. Mr. BVR Mohan Reddy, Vice Chairman, NASSCOM. Dr. Preeta Reddy. Professor Cliff Hughes, President-elect ISCWA. Mr. Ronald Merrill, Editor-in-Chief of Telemedicine and eHealth. Professor Ganapati, President.
Mission and Matham, BVR Mohan Reddy, Vice Chairman and Chairman-elect of NASSCOM, Mrs. Preeta Reddy, Executive Vice Chairman, Apollo Hospitals, Professor Cliff Hughes, President-elect ISQA, Dr. Ronald Merrill, Head Telemedicine of NASA, Dr. Ganapati, Dr. Anupam Sibal, Dr. Bandari, Dr. Periswamy. Respected speakers, teachers and our gurus, as I said today, I am especially happy to welcome all of you. Today being Teachers' Day, it is a day we reach out and do our special namastes to you for your generous sharing of knowledge. I said this in the morning, but no amount of thanks and acknowledgement will be enough for faculty from 32 countries, many who have traveled across the world, many who are sleepless because they landed just this morning or barely had enough rest. Thank you so much for being here. And for the many others, each one of you in this audience are a teacher because today you have shared. You have shared your knowledge, you have shared your experience, you have poured out your hearts. So to healthcare evangelists, IT enthusiasts, patient safety advocates, doctors, nurses, paramedics, technicians, to the organizing committee of this conference, to all of you here, good evening, a very, very warm welcome and a great thank you for your presence. Let me first start out by saying that I am not the organizer of this conference. It is said that when the time has come for a great idea, things just happen. And that's how these conferences happen, because the time has come for people to wake up and say that yes, we need a safer healthcare system, and yes, IT has the potential to transform healthcare. And when you put two great thoughts together, the magic happens automatically, but there are many unsung heroes that are typically acknowledged only in the very end. Those are the organizing teams, but in this conference I want to acknowledge them in the very beginning, because to put together over 1,400 delegates, to organize the speeches, the sessions, the brochures, the organizing and all being done, while they're also doing a full-time job at Apollo Hospitals taking care of patients. May I request all of you to please put your hands together for these young people who have organized this program. Honorable Minister, as was said in the audiovisual, all of us are extremely happy to be with you in the City of Joy. This is a city that has inspired the world through great thought leaders like Swami Vivekananda. It is a city who has inspired the hearts of people by people like Mother Teresa. And the combination of the mind and the heart can conquer the world. The healthcare problems we face today, madam, are large. The healthcare problems we face today, my colleagues on the dais, are seemingly unsurmountable. The lack of expenditure to meet the needs for nutrition, for sanitation, for maternal health, seem like it looks like we're talking when we speak of the high-tech capabilities of India. We're doing heart transplants, we're doing organ transplants, we're doing heart surgeries at 99.8% success. And when Apollo Hospitals completed 150,000 heart surgeries at 98.9% success, 99.3% success. And while the world, very much like you are doing today, acknowledged it, our chairman, Dr. Reddy, said, this is great, you teams, you've done a great job, but it's not enough. There is so much more to be done. There are so many more people to be cured and cared for and healed. So let us reach out further. To the honorable dignitaries on the dais, each one of you is an authority in your field. Each one of you is capable of transformation, and we are honored by your presence here. We welcome you for today's conference, and we are extremely gratified by the fact that you would share this evening with us, because your very presence, from the ministry, from the Health Ministry of Sikkim, from the head of Ramakrishna Mission, from NASA, from every other area, your presence here from NASCOM, the head of the Indian IT sector who has brought pride to India, your presence here lends validity to the importance of the issue we are facing. Everywhere today, everybody asks me one question only: why are you doing this conference? You know, you're doing this patient safety, you're doing this transforming. Why does Apollo do this? What is this about? And this is our 5th edition of the conference and we're still being asked. So let me share, I hope with a little bit of clarity, that this is, when Apollo Hospital started 30 years ago, it was because our chairman lost a young man before he had enough time to raise money to go to the United States for heart surgery. At that time, India had no credible heart surgery program. And when Dr. Reddy did it, he said at that point of time that not that we're here to bring advanced healthcare to India. Yes, we wanted to do it. But the idea was to appraise the healthcare system in the country and to provide the thought leadership so that not just Apollo treated patients, but the entire healthcare system in India increased and health very much like Swami Vivekananda said, that if you can give the world a thought which is powerful enough to lead them to do a better way of life, then that in itself is the meaning, it gives meaning to your life. And so the reason for this conference really is to bring together, we do not have all the answers. The answers are with the speakers, with the delegates, with leaders like all of you, to create a small platform to bring everybody together, to shine the torch on the fact that patient safety is an important issue that we must not hide underneath the carpet, but we should bring into the open and say mistakes happen. How do we learn from our mistakes? How do we prevent mistakes? And while I had a different story to share, something that happened today at the conference moved me very much. Ma'am, there were a few representatives from a government hospital, not from this state but another state, and they stood up in the middle of everybody and they said, what you are talking about drug medication, about patient safety, about protocols, about alarms onto your monitors, about changing the tubing and bringing down the infection rate. All that is happening in 5 to 6% of Indian hospitals. These hospitals are islands of excellence in an ocean of inadequacy of Indian healthcare. But we come from the government hospital, we acknowledge that we're not doing all these things. We want to openly say that we will share. We want to learn. And that is the reason for this conference, to create a platform where people can come together and learn ways and teach ways and be enriched by this interaction of knowledge. So may this conference continue to be a platform for people for learning, and may this conference be the beginning of better and better healthcare, of higher quality, greater access, more cost-effective healthcare by the utilization of all the techniques and all the tools that we have at our midst. As we were saying in the IT conference, we live in a tremendous time in the world. With a tele-density of 850 million in our country, that small cell phone can become a diagnostic tool, can become a connection to the doctor. That small cell phone can save a life. It can teach an ASHA worker how to bring healthcare to a pregnant mother and maybe deliver a new life safely to this world. The private healthcare sector in this country is doing some of the most advanced work and is now looking at how we can partner with the government to spread this access mechanism. The insurance sector is looking to find ways to create affordability. The IT sector wants to innovate for better health solutions. There is so much happening, and yet there is so much more to be done. I can only end by saying a great thank you to everyone who has a common vision. A best of luck to everyone who wants to enable this transformation. And she put something in his box, but she took his sign and she scribbled something on it, and then she went away. And then suddenly something happened. More and more people started putting money into his box. And then the lady came back in the evening and she said, "How are you?" And he said, "I know you're the lady who wrote something on my sign. I want to know, what did you write? Because so many people came to me after you wrote it." And many of you may have heard this story, but for those who haven't, I'm sharing with you. She wrote on this sign, "It's a beautiful day and I cannot see it." And it is that igniting of empathy that changed the way people reacted. So ladies and gentlemen, my colleagues in healthcare, what I am requesting all of you to do as I end this session is please ignite the empathy for the Indian and the global population who is denied of healthcare, so that governments will give it the importance that it requires. Ignite the empathy for the doctors who work so tirelessly and the nurses who work so tirelessly, so that people will acknowledge the role of the doctor and the nurse and not put in the paper that this doctor was sued for medical negligence. Because they are doing a tremendous job. Let the world look at us with the same light. Let them understand the problems of healthcare, the hard work of healthcare players, the capability of healthcare to transform a country. Because only a healthy country can be a wealthy country. Let us understand that role and play this other fantastic role, because healthcare again is the largest employment generator compared to any sector in the world. As our Honorable Prime Minister and the Honorable Chief Minister of the state wants to give employment to every single youth, and the demographic dividend of this country must be a dividend and not a debacle, because we are able to employ our youth. Let us promote healthcare to the highest extent possible. Let our sector and let our industry and let the hospital shine, be able to cure and heal our country and the rest of the world, and may this be yet one more step towards making that beautiful day happen. I cannot acknowledge the prize winners, great speakers, the innovators who got awards, the sponsors and everybody else. I can just end by saying a very great namaste. We're on the same path. Let us all succeed together towards a better world. Namaste and thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. Sangeeta Reddy, for that inspiring speech. May I now invite Mr. BVR Mohan Reddy to say a few words. Mr. Reddy is the Chairman and MD of Infotech Enterprises. He's the Vice Chairman and President and Chairman-elect of NASSCOM.
The organizers of this conference for giving me this opportunity, especially my thanks to Sangeeta Reddy for persuading to come for this meeting today. I'm extremely delighted to be with you. I stand in front of you as a representative of NASSCOM. I'm sure NASSCOM is synonymous of IT industry these days. And the NASSCOM, for those of you who probably are hearing this word for the first time or they've turned in for the first time, stands for the National Association for Software Services Companies. And it's an amazing story we have for the IT industry. In 1992, this industry was about $100 million in terms of exports. Fast forward 22 years, and it has grown to become $110 billion. It's unparalleled story anywhere in the world. And I'm sure the healthcare industry will be the same in India pretty soon. Just for those, a few data points on this industry, as I said, it's about $110 billion. It's about 8% of our GDP right now, and it also contributes to about 25% of India's commercial exports, and finally it takes about 52% of the global markets. It primarily has been very focused towards the export markets, but of the recent past, given some of the enthusiasm the new government has shown, certainly the focus has moved more towards the domestic markets by the membership of NASSCOM. The other thing that traditionally NASSCOM was known for the IT services, the pure play IT services. But over a period of time, there's been a substantial new additions to the pure play IT services. It includes things like business process outsourcing, or BPM as it's called. You have remote infrastructure management. You have product development as in software, product engineering for engineering many different types of products, and so on and so forth. My background, as the anchor was talking about, comes from product engineering. And so given my past experience, in electricity, the telephones, automobiles, aeroplanes, transistors, semiconductors. But now the key thing is all about computers and internet. And each of these new waves of transformative technologies brought about a surge in productivity, an increase in economic growth, enabling efficient methods of performing existing tasks. But now, if you look at internet, a general purpose technology like steam engine or the steam power semiconductor, it's a very powerful technology because it cuts across different verticals. It can bring about disruption in different types of business models. And this has definitely helped us in different ways in which we can communicate and use information. This led major innovations, imposing rules from outside on different industries, rearranging value chains and enabling new forms of competition. Internet-enabled innovations brought transparency to the pricing, disrupted commercial relationships and created new customer expectations. In addition, in just a few years, Internet enabled portable devices, which Sangeeta called them as the small little cell phones, which are transforming the world at this point of time, have gone through a luxury for a few to the life for many at this point of time. That's how you see the smartphones are invading the whole world. The technology of the mobile internet is evolving rapidly, especially because of the intuitive interface. I have a 3-year-old granddaughter at home, and she now goes and does the pinching on the TV screen, assuming that it probably would work like an iPhone, that probably she can see more in detail on the screen. That's how the intuitive interfaces have grown on the internet technology. With this technology, I think that there is a great opportunity to transform Indian healthcare through use of internet and broadband, while making available thousands of medical specialists in remote corners of the country is very challenging. But one can make these services available through internet and broadband at a multi-service centers in every village. If the current vision of Government of India of Digital India initiative is implemented, then it will go a long way to improve the healthcare availability to remotest corners of India. A patient at a health center in a village can be connected to any medical specialist hundreds of miles away and diagnosed online. The various governments or private specialists will be able to diagnose and treat people who otherwise do not have the access to the specialist medical facilities. At the end of the day, it promises to change the life of rural India. That's what we think the internet and broadbanding will do to this nation. This will also allow healthcare practitioners to offer cheaper, faster and more efficient patient care than ever before, which is certainly a step in the right direction. Technology is the only lever that can enable India to enhance quality, access and affordability of healthcare. Having established that internet technology and especially mobile internet can play a very critical role in the socio-economic development, let us examine some of the emerging new disruptive technologies and their impact on economies around the world and especially in India. The healthcare industry has no exception to the rise of disruptive technologies, changing the way people are impacted. In the interest of time, I will touch on three most influential healthcare technologies I believe are very critical in coming years. The first one I believe is 3D printing. This is something like the additive manufacturing technology, and what it actually does, it prints physical objects. These printers take three-dimensional data of an object, track the contours of its shape by adding ultra-thin layer by layer using liquid, plastic or metal until the whole object materializes. There have been many widespread uses of 3D printers today from, I guess there is a YouTube clip which can tell you how to make guns using 3D technology on the YouTube. There are people are making aerospace parts, or there is, I think, models of Empire State Building being done on the 3D printers. But the medical uses are extremely practical and could really solve ongoing health issues once it's figured out how actually we can apply them to people. 3D printing machines have already started making their presence felt in the medical devices world. 95% of all hearing aids are today 3D printed. The technology is also pushing into prosthetics. In the recent past, I read a blog where a father borrowed a 3D printer from a local school to make functioning of a prosthetic hand for his son. There are also been custom-made back braces for the scoliosis patients and casts for broken bones. And in the latest development, 3D printers are also used for the facial prosthetics, create nose, ears, and so on and so forth. There have been many advances in the area of developing skin to help burn victims and skin disease patients. So there is enormous amount of opportunity today in terms of 3D printing in medical use. The second one I think will make a tremendous amount of difference is wearable technology. I saw actually one of them in the booths earlier this evening, the Google glasses. And wearable technology is still in a very infancy state, but we think it will probably do a tremendous amount of leapfrogging in coming years. And we have seen the biggest use of it is Google glasses. And surgeons are using Google glasses or wearable technology in general while performing surgery. As wearable technology continues to improve to better meet the needs of users, healthcare providers continue to hope that use will impact both the experience of patients and practitioners to better receive and administer care. The new technology is allowing a doctor to interact with patients while simultaneously putting up their medical history using Google Glass. The surgery performed using Google Glass could serve as an example of real-time education for medical students and other professionals alike. There are a number of other uses that we have seen of new technologies in terms of digital digestible sensors. I saw in the recent past an endoscopic capsule which is looking like any other pill or a capsule. People just put it into their mouth and swallow it down, and you have the complete record of the GI tract in the next 8 hours. Those are the new, and doesn't require any extra power because the human system itself is powering these digestible capsules which go into the human system. So certainly those are some of the disruptions that are happening, and I also mentioned the third one, which is on artificial intelligence, especially which has tremendous amount of relevance for India, because what we see is advances in artificial intelligence, machine learning, natural user interface, voice recognition are making it possible to automate many knowledge workers' tasks, and that have been long regarded as impossible or impracticable for machines to perform. Especially with the interface of local language, we think it has tremendous amount of relevance in India. Today only 17 crore people or 170 million people in India read English language newspapers. But there are other 370 million people who read local languages. So if you got a machine which can answer questions in local languages, that is going to be a tremendous boon for the Indian environment, Indian population. So therefore, three technologies I talked about, 3D printing, wearable devices, automation of knowledge, I think these will be a tremendous amount of advantage for India, especially because we don't have legacy systems left behind. We don't have today endoscopic machine manufacturers in India to say that, look, their business has to get transformed, whereas we can start all afresh with capsule endoscopy itself. Lastly, I think for all these to become reality, we need to have an ecosystem. And there are three suggestions I have in terms of the ecosystem that has to definitely change in this country. The first one is we have to focus on frugal innovation. Innovation would happen all right, but we can't be the same as the West, where we have so much amount of R&D budgets. So primarily what I mean by frugal innovation is doing lot for lot less, lot more for lot less, so that it becomes available for plenty of people in this 1.2 billion nation. So to that extent, in this particular direction, there have been lots of initiatives that are happening at this point of time. I also have the role of chairman of the board of governors of one of the IITs, so I sit on the council of IITs at this point of time. So we are now making sure that all IIT students have practical projects which will address the day-to-day problems of India, and some of them are all in healthcare at this point of time. The second one, which is the adjunct of that, is that we also find something very strange in India. The medical doctors do not have the engineering knowledge or technology as a knowledge. So you need to have cross-functional teams which have to work if technology has to put into play to get the devices out of Indian population. So therefore, putting together cross-functional teams in many of the education institutions to ensure that we will have more amount of technology-centric devices coming out of this industry. The second one is the current challenges that we have in India today means that all these stakeholders have to work together. Be it the government, it's the private sector, or the healthcare providers, or it is the IT services companies, or it is also to do with the academia. All have to work together, and in order to ensure that happens, I think we have together certain initiatives on behalf of NASSCOM to bring people together, and one of them is the initiative which is working with NACL, where Sangeeta Reddy is also part of it, and Ms. Geeta Reddy is also one of the key stakeholders of NACL. We're partnering jointly with NACL in order to ensure that we bring these initiatives of bringing together low-cost healthcare using IT-enabled engineering, technology, disruptive innovation to ensure that it is accessible to many people in this country. So therefore, finally, let me conclude by saying Internet with frugal innovation on disruptive technologies with the involvement of all stakeholders is the answer to bring about the transformation to the Indian healthcare needs. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Mr. Reddy. We are delighted to have with us Dr. Sutin Adhikari. Dr. Adhikari is more learned than most doctors because not only does he have a medical degree, but he's also done a PhD. He's the leader of the eHealth portal developed by the Government of India and will be a member of the soon-to-be announced National eHealth Authority. Thank you very much, Dr. Adhikari, for being with us. May I now call upon Shri Arjun Ghatani, the young and dynamic Honorable Health Minister of the Government of Sikkim. Mr. Ghatani has brought in new ideas with the idea of improving the way quality healthcare is delivered to the people of Sikkim. Mr. Ghatani.
Honorable Minister Chandrima Bhattacharya, Government of West Bengal, Secretary Maharaja from Ramakrishna Mission, Mrs. Geeta Reddy, Vice Chairman, Apollo Hospital, MD Sangeeta Reddy. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. It gives me immense pleasure to be at Kolkata, the city of joy, and address this distinguished gathering of illustrious physicians, nurses and healthcare executives who have assembled here from over 32 countries for a noble cause. I truly appreciate your continued endeavor to improve the quality of healthcare and make it safer for the patients. I congratulate the winners of Asian Patient Safety Awards 2014. The hard work in your respective hospitals will spread across the world from this forum and bring forth better ideas for improving safety and the bedside care. I commend the effort of Apollo Hospital to bring forth two very dynamic aspects of healthcare and put them under one umbrella. Your effort to bring distinctly two different paradigms of patient safety and information technology together is unique and definitive. The Government of Sikkim, under the visionary leadership of Honorable Chief Minister Sri Pawan Chamling, has taken number of innovative steps to improve the quality of health of the populace. The Chief Minister Comprehensive Annual Total Checkup for Health Scheme CATS is one such initiative. The program provides universal health checkup to all citizens of the village to village. To detect disease in an individual at his doorstep, a software is in place to store the data. The program of FAR has covered more than 90% of the population, and preliminary reports are under preparation. Here we have linked people's healthcare with IT. Further, the constructions of a new multi-specialty 575-bedded hospital is progressing well, and once completed will provide the best medical facilities and treatment for the people of Sikkim. With regards to patient safety and transforming healthcare with IT, I would like to emphasize on the following points. Before highlighting the points, let us be clear what is patient safety. Patient safety is the absence of preventable harm to a patient during a process of healthcare. The discipline of patient safety is the coordinated effort to prevent harm caused by the process of healthcare itself from occurring to the patient. The two key elements in achieving patient safety are: first, the method to identify and characterize adverse outcomes of the healthcare actions. Second, to put in place changes that enable learning through analysis of trends and patterns of adverse events and near rises that reduce risks and that improve patient counter sale of medicines and self-medications must be taken up seriously to prevent serious reactions and adverse effects. General prescriptions errors, precautions of blood transfusion, patient identity error, electrical safety for both patient and healthcare staff, patient certification, delighted in infection control measures, etc. must be improved at all levels to improve patient safety. In the perspective of our state, which is 80% hilly, the issue of safety and comfort in transportation of patients is a major issue. The hilly roads are often disrupted by landslide and damaged by heavy rains is a major hindrance in patient transformation. In similar area of the country, the healthcare personnel must be facing similar problems. I suggest the concerned agencies should focus on improvement in the quality and quantity of ambulances for the hilly region. Radio contact with ambulance driver and traffic police. The patient safety declarations adopted in Hyderabad Congress regarding implementations of hospitals wide programs should be adopted and followed across the country. The future with healthcare IT are exciting. Already various institutions in the country have taken up the robust assisted surgery, which is a step ahead in patient safety and reducing morbidity in patients. Telemedicine is another sector which can benefit millions of people, especially in the remote and underserved areas. I would like to conclude by congratulating the organizers and participants of the conference. I also extend a warm welcome to all present